Hello viewers, and welcome back to another episode of Seasonal Gay Anime Spotlight, the show where I look at the queer characters of each season in anime and talk about them as they are in the first 4 to 5 weeks of the season. As always, we've got a lot to get through this episode, so let's not waste any time and get right to it. First up is Yu, Toka, and Seiji from Bloomin' to You. Can you tell I'm excited for this anime? I'm really excited for this anime.
Bloomin' to You is an anime about Yu Koto, who I believe to be asexual and homoromantic. A girl who doesn't understand love and has never had her heart flutter when someone confesses to her, despite being confessed to her during her middle school graduation. Her upperclassman Toko Nanami convinces Yu to join the student council and helps her come to a decision to the boy's confession. After Yu rejects him, Nanami suddenly confesses her own love for Yu. While Yu is confused about Nanami's sudden confession, she finds that she doesn't hate it. When she questions Nanami about the confession and what this kind of love is, Nanami suddenly kisses her on the lips, but apologizes about it soon after. Later on, after the two get to know each other better, Nanami says that she understands that Yu doesn't love easily, and says that that's fine. All she asks is that she can be in love with Yu, and Yu not to fall in love with her. Yu calls her senpai unfair. However, she agrees to these terms after Yu helps Nanami become the student council president, later agreeing to another kiss when Nanami asks her in the student council room, saying that while she's in love with Nanami, she does enjoy being kissed by her. The thing I love about this relationship is how complex it is compared to other Yuri anime. It isn't just lovey-dovey right from the start. Yu doesn't love Nanami the same way she loves her, but does seem to enjoy being in her company and being semi-intimate with her, like holding hands and kissing.
And since I'm already caught up with English release of the manga, I'll just say that there's more complexity and intrigue about these two girls and how they feel about each other.
The other queer character introduced so far is Seiji Maki, who is a young asexual kid who bluntly states that he isn't interested in love. He instead likes to watch relationships unfold around him, interested in the twists and turns they make.
In the end, there's a few more queer characters that'll be introduced as the anime goes on, which I'll talk about next episode. Next up is Akari, Hinata, and Ellie from Miss Vampire Who Lives in My Neighborhood, an anime about a young high school girl who meets a vampire girl named Sophie in the woods and becomes infatuated with her.
Akari loves dolls, and because of Sophie's doll-like appearance, immediately falls in love with her, loving to dress her up and fantasizing about living together and getting married to Sophie in the future. While Sophie might not enjoy some of Akari's antics, she enjoys Akari's company and is happy that she isn't alone anymore. Hinata, Akari's best friend, seems to have a little crush on Akari. She gets nervous around her and constantly worries about her, sometimes getting jealous at the prospect of Akari getting a boyfriend or her being too attached to Sophie. Ellie is Sophie's vampire friend who claims that the two of them are lovers, though Sophie denies this. Ellie also likes to tease Sophie and drink her blood seductively, though the extent of Ellie truly loving Sophie this way, or is just teasing her to make her embarrassed, is yet to be seen.
While the anime and its characters don't offer anything aside from pure fluff, it is a really cute anime to watch. Just a gay little distraction that's also wacky and comedic. Next up is Takuto and Junto from Daiichi on being harassed by the sexiest man of the year. I refer you to my previous statement from last week. I really don't like yaoi anime.
In almost every single sexual encounter between the two in the episodes that I've watched so far, Junta almost always sexually assaults Takuto. While Junta says that Takuto eventually consents to their current sexual situation. I'm sorry, but if one person tries to have sex with another person and that other person says no or stop, you fucking stop right then and there. Just because Takuto eventually consents to the encounter, still horrible. It's still horrible. Junta needs to ask Takuto about kissing or having sex with him before doing anything. And if Takuto says no, then Junta shouldn't do it. If he does, he is an insulter or even a rapist. And no, I don't care if Takuto seems to be falling for Junta as well. I don't like a relationship that started with a full-blown assault and rape from a man who has yet to fully apologize for it, and just keeps on doing it. Ugh, and I thought the beginnings of the relationship in Citrus was bad.
Outside of this horrible relationship, though, the anime is just a cliched mess of a yaoi anime. I hope you like this sort of thing, straight women out there watching, because I refer you once again to my previous statement from last week. I really don't like yaoi anime. Now, I've been told by some fans that some of the characters to appear in this current season of JoJo's Bizarre Adventure are two gay men in a relationship. I don't want to say who it is so I don't spoil it to anyone. I myself am only on the Diamond is Unbreakable arc of the anime, so I won't know when these characters will appear, but you guys can go ahead and watch the anime to see for yourself. Next up is Ainga Kano from Golden Kamui. For those who watched the last episode of Seasonal Gay Anime Spotlight, you might remember that while I love the anime of Golden Kamui, I didn't like this very negative representation of a transgender character.
So far in the second season, she's just been hanging around with our group of villains, not really doing much besides cooking for them and engaging in conversations. So it'll have to be seen whether or not Kana will actually do anything of importance this season, or if she'll just be stuck to the background.
Considering how she was treated in her premiere episode, I'm hoping for the latter. And last up is Char from Boarding School Juliet. In an anime that uses the concept of Romeo and Juliet but with comedy and high school kids, Char was a welcome surprise to this group of wacky and crazy characters.
Char is Juliet's best friend and the first princess of the West. When she appears in the third episode, she uses evidence of Romeo's and Juliet's relationship to force Romeo to becoming Char's personal dog, this putting a strain on Romeo and Juliet's relationship. Romeo later sneaks into Char's room to dig up some dirt on her and finds a secret shrine behind a mirror full of photos of Juliet. Char reveals to Romeo that she is actually in love with Juliet and was jealous of Romeo and Juliet's relationship. So she stops making Romeo his dog after he helps her stop Juliet from discovering Char's pictures of her. While she disapproves of Juliet's relationship with Romeo, she realizes how Juliet cares for him and the joy their relationship brings to her. However, she continues to keep track of their relationship, often eavesdropping on them from a distance. The thing that I like about this reveal of the character in the episode is that Char is more than just a potential third protagonist in a contrived love triangle. And I love how Romeo is quick to empathize with Char's inability to express her true feelings to Juliet. On the other hand, I am afraid that Char will eventually just dissolve into the token lesbian character who will do nothing but pine for Juliet's love from a distance without ever actualizing her desires anywhere.
It'll have to remain to be seen, but I for one am enjoying the anime and this character. Now let's move on to our next segment, recap of last season. The part of the show where I look at the queer anime of last season and talk about them as whether their characters ended up nicely or badly. But that does mean that there are spoilers ahead. I've been warned. First up is Takemura and Iwamura from Backstreet Girls. Backstreet Girls is one of those animes where I can't tell if it's the most amazing anime I've ever seen or the worst anime I've ever seen. But one thing that I do know about the anime is its consistency and its queer elements.
People wondered why last episode I didn't put this anime on my list. For those of you who don't know, Backstreet Girls is about 3 Yakuza men who mess up on a job, and as punishment, the boss forces them to get a sex change in Thailand and become idols. Now while this scenario sounds queer, the 3 characters are still men. Sure, their bodies are female now, but they always still identify themselves as men. And since they still like women, they are also still straight. So I couldn't count these characters as queer since they are basically the same, just with female bodies now. However, 2 minor characters in the anime are queer, as is revealed later on. One is Takemura, who messes up on a mission as well, so the boss, who is now obsessed with having an idol group with his Yakuza men, also forces him to get a sex changed. However, when he returns, the boss doesn't like how the result came out, so he lets him go free. Distressed, Takemura goes to the lesbian district in the city. The next character is Iwamura, who desires to fondle the breasts of our 3 main protagonists. When the boss learns about this, he forces the guy to get breast surgery so that he can fondle breasts all that he wants. Distressed, he wanders the city until he meets up with Takemura. Bonding together with their similar circumstances, they actually form a relationship and join the Anti-Goku Dolls group. Now the reason this is queer is because they also still identify themselves as men, despite how their bodies might be. They are now in a gay relationship and living happily together, despite their circumstances.
These 2 characters were definitely a highlight in this outrageous and often hilarious anime. Next up is Ruka from Steins Gate Zero. What a fucking disappointment this one was. If you want to know more about my thoughts of how Steins Gate Zero treated Ruka, you can check out my Steins Gate Why It Didn't Work video that I put up last week. All that I'll say here is that the anime barely has Ruka in it at all, and when she does show up and looks cool in a post-apocalyptic future, they kill her off as the sacrificial queer character. Dry up. Next up is essentially every character to varying degrees from Revue Starlight. Each one of the characters is paired up with another character, and this relationship varies from friendships to actual relationships.
First up is main characters Kaorin and Hikari. Their relationship is full of romantic beats, childhood promise, reuniting after losing contact for years, wearing the same hair clips, and each of them swear to protect each other and to perform Starlight together. The two of them actually being the leads on the 100th festival. The play's characters hinted to be lovers as well. Next is Mahiru and Karin. From the start, it's hard to deny that Mahiru has a crush on Karin. She's always smiling when looking at her, gets distressed when she sees her getting close to other girls, especially Hikari, and wants to do the role of the fated couple with her in Starlight. Though in episode 3, this pretense is dropped completely and goes explicit when Karuko invites Mahiru into the bath with her and interrogates her on her own attraction to Karin while simultaneously pointing out the romantic and sexual connotations of their current situation. Lastly, Mahiru's performance is called Review of Jealousy. In the end, Mahiru accepts the relationship between Karin and Hikari and eventually learns to believe in her own self. The next couple is Claudine and Maya. First of all, Maya is meant to be the Okoto Yaku on stage, while Claudine is meant to be the Musumin Yaku on stage, this being the types of actors of the Terunozuka Revenue, which the anime is partly based on. These types of characters often being a couple in performances. They are the best and second best students, being fated rivals, and they play the role of the fated couple when their class performs Starlight in their first year. After the two team up against Kaoru and Hikari in episode 10 and lose to them, they embrace each other and refer to each other as my Maya and my Claudine. Next up is Futaba and Karuko. The two of them are almost always together and are extremely close. Karuko often tends to cling to Futaba rather intimately when she is drowsy. Karuko also compares the relationship between Mahiru and Karin to her and Futaba. Episode 6 is their focus episode where Futaba is tired of caring for Karuko with nothing in return. Karuko learns her lesson in the end, and the two's relationship becomes that of equals. And the last one is Nana and Juna, whose relationship is most likely just friendship. When Juna learns that Nana has been repeating the 99th performance of Starlight over and over again, she convinces Nana to stop this and comforts her when Nana eventually loses to Karin, stopping her endless cycle.
Most of these relationships rely more on subtext than outright explicitity, most of the time, but the level of their relationships is up to interpretation. I just wish that I was as explicit as Revolutionary Girl Utena, the anime that Revue Starlight draws the most influence from. Next up is Azora Tsukumi from Asobe Asobase. This anime revels in its over-the-top and crossing-the-line humor. Sometimes this works, often me die of laughter. However, one continual character it didn't work well on was Tsugumi.
It all starts when Hanako overhears Tsugumi breaking up with her boyfriend, saying that she's actually a guy. Later on, the Pastimers Club learn that Tsugumi lied about that to get her boyfriend off her back. Or did she? In another episode, Tsugumi forces the Part-Timers Club to steal the Student Council's president's book of dirt that she has on the student body. This ends up working, and Tsugumi manages to take the book in secret, not wanting something about her to get known to the public. Later on, Tsugumi saves Kasumi from a girl who's suddenly fallen in love with her, making Kasumi uncomfortable. Though after that, Tsugumi decides to kiss Kasumi on the lips and leaves. This causes Kazumi, who might be gay as well due to her getting flustered by this and having a strong dislike for men, to question how she feels about Tsugumi. However, she has a dream where Tsugumi shows Kasumi that she has a penis, and after this, Kasumi is determined to see what is under Tsugumi's skirt to see what she has under there. They don't end up accomplishing this, and Tsugumi's gender and overall secret still remains a mystery. Now, framing is everything, and the anime is aware that these characters are insensitive and frequently cruel middle school girls. However, in that Tsugumi's character is all about what her gender is, if she really is transgender, then this is a little insulting. Mostly because too many people see transgender bodies as curiosities for public consumption rather than belonging to individuals who have boundaries like anybody else. People also like to fetishize trans bodies, which is connected to the stereotype. At the end of the day, though, I do enjoy Tsugumi's character, as she doesn't care what anyone says or thinks about her, and she just kinda does her own thing.
But in the end, it's how the anime treats this character as a sexual curiosity instead of developing Kasumi's potential crush on her and how she feels about this. Instead, the show doesn't develop Tsugumi beyond this one crappy joke. And that's where the anime ultimately fails. And lastly is goddamn Queen Historia from Attack on Titan Season 3, Part 1. Oh yeah, you heard me right. She's the queen. Neil!
This is the arc in Attack on Titan that proves why Historia is one of my favorite characters. After learning the truth about her family and legacy, she's almost tricked by her father into becoming a Titan and eating Eren to obtain the Founding Titan's power. She remembers the words that Ymir gave her in Season 2, slaps a syringe out of her father's hand and basically proclaims, "Fuck you, Dad, I'm gay." Proudly saying that she wants to chart her own path and not be forced to become something that she's not. Historia sets Eren free and teams up with the rest of the characters in taking out her father, who has turned himself into a gigantic Titan. Historia goes to the front lines of the battle and deals the final blow to her father, encouraging the people within the walls as well. She then takes the responsibility of being the only heir to the throne and becomes the Queen of Humanity. So in essence, Historia took her love for Ymir and the advice she gave her to save herself from her controlling father and accept her role as queen, giving Lei a well-deserved punch. You get him, girl. It can be argued that Historia is the most well-developed character in the entire series, starting off as a shy and helpful girl who was also Ymir's girlfriend, to a confident and powerful protector of humanity who became the goddamn queen.
Sure, Ymir still isn't around, but Historia took the love that the two of them shared towards each other to become someone amazing. Bow before your queen! And now we reach our last segment of the show, Shadow's heterosexual pick. The part of the show where I pick an anime that may not have any queer characters in it, but is still pretty good. And this season's pick is Zombieland Saga.
An idol parody anime featuring zombie girls from different decades, so far Zombieland Saga has been the most comedic anime of the entire year. The situation is hilarious, the characters hilarious, especially the manic producer, the parody of other idol anime is hilarious, and the out-of-nowhere crazy situations are hilarious. And while the drama in the anime may not be hilarious, it's actually really good drama. It's just a hilarious anime, and I'm enjoying every second of it.
Go watch the first episode and see for yourself. So, that's the end of the episode. Hope you guys enjoyed it. If you did, you could like and comment anything that you want to say, and don't forget to subscribe if you want to see more. Catch you later.